attempting to make our front stairs look new again. And I think this is day 5 now. The previous steps all had to have a day worth of dry time in between. So I started off with the stripper, and then the cleaner, and then the brightener. And then day 4 was using a few different products to fill in the cracks. I just wanted to kind of experiment with a few of them to see what one I liked better. But due to the rain that lasted like a full week, I think these 4 days have kind of stretched out into about 2 weeks. But today the weather looks good, so I am pretty much sanding all day. So these first 3 steps here, I went ahead and tried out liquid epoxy, which I thought would be really good because some of the cracks were a little bit deep. And overall, a few of the spots looked good, but other spots I don't think really held it that well. Or maybe they were just so deep it kind of got lost up in there. But regardless, I am sanding off any of the excess that was on the actual step, and then probably going to be covering it with this plastic wood. That's what I had used on the next 3 steps, and you can see here that it looks pretty flawless. But first I got back to sanding just to make sure I actually like how the plastic wood held up. So with my orbital sander, I'm using 80 grit just to get off any of the excess filler, and then also just to kind of smooth out the surface so that way when I do apply the next step, which is the oil, hopefully it will go on there nice and evenly with no blotches. And here's that plastic wood that I really like. It's good for interior and exterior use. So I just really put like a line right over the actual crack, and then using a plastic putty knife to kind of just work it in there. I like to kind of work it in all different angles to really fill in that crack. That way it's not just sitting on the surface. And then when it comes time to sanding, it doesn't just remove it all. But I also just take that putty knife and kind of just scrape off any of the excess and just make it as smooth as possible. And then I just repeated that same exact process. I had about 6 steps left on the very top to get to. And to let this dry, they recommend about 3 to 4 hours before you start sanding, which worked out perfect because I had about 6 steps that I had finished yesterday that was ready to go. And it was about this point that I realized that this might actually work. Just the sanding alone was making everything so much brighter. But then Brie came and got me, told me it was time to take a break and go to the gym. And by the time I got back, it had already been 3 to 4 hours, so I went ahead and started just sanding the bottom steps as well. And then I had the cutest little visitor, and we happened to find a crab up on the driveway too, which was pretty cool, being as though we are a lot higher than we were before. And by this time, I think I had been sanding for about 6 hours, but as you can tell from this, it made a huge difference. I'm just hoping that all of this work that I'm putting into these is actually worth it. And tomorrow I'm going to start off with just a quick resand with 120 grit, but I want to make sure that I'm applying the oil not in the direct sun. So I only have until about 11 a.m. until the sun starts shining on the front of the house. So that means for me, it's going to be an early morning, meaning like 8 a.m. But I cannot wait to see what the oil looks like. I'm just hoping this all pays off, and tomorrow after the oil, they are going to look as good as new.